So in a couple of videos that I do on Tuesday mornings, I've talked about what it would be like or what you would spend money on to improve your DJ business. One week we talked about what would you do if you had $5,000 just given to you to invest in your business. And what would you do if you had $20,000? Now, there were some similar suggestions or ideas from a lot of our viewers between the two. Early on with the $5,000, it was interesting. And I even mentioned in the video that gear probably wouldn't be your first stop. But many jumped at that I would buy a new controller, new speakers, and upgrade some areas. Now, not that gear was the wrong answer. It's just that there's more to think about, and that's what we're going to dig into in this video. Then when we jumped into the $20,000 question, there was some similarities, but we started to see, I think, a little bit more of a change in some thinking because now you're dealing with a substantial amount of money that could really change your business. So for this video, I want to really focus on the thought process. How would you decide what to spend, and what would that look like? So the first thing I want you to do is really want you to ask yourself is what would I be able to have the greatest return? Say that I want to take that $5,000 and I want to turn that and make that grow. I want my business to grow, but I want to be able to basically say that I invested that in an area in which caused my business to become more valuable. Now, maybe it's a situation where you're going to need to improve your performance. Again, look in the mirror and say, what truthfully is it going to take for me to be able to charge higher rates or to do events that are paying better than what I'm currently at today? Sometimes that means training, that I need to become a better performer. I need to become a better MC. I need to become a better whatever it is, mixer, whatever those things are. But really to be truthful and honest with yourself, because sometimes we're not exactly, we get this this idea of what we are in our head, and sometimes that's a distorted view for the positive or for the negative. Sometimes we're our worst critics, that we're much better than that little image that we have of ourselves in our head. We smile and we make it look like we're the rock star, but deep down we've got this whole imposter syndrome thing going on. That's a real thing, and it really affects a lot of us in the DJ industry, where we think basically that we're not as good as we show, and we're not as good as all these other DJs, but we're out there and we're just faking it and hoping that we can make it to a point. A variation of the imposter syndrome that a lot of DJs have. But the idea is that what is it going to take for you to become more valuable to your clients? Again, it can be from a variety of different ways. It might be that you are a great mixer, and it is indeed a point where you need better gear to be able to do what you do. You might have something that's just old and outdated that just doesn't function for you. And then investing in the gear to bring it up. So if that's the weakest part of your business right now, yeah, then that makes a lot of sense. But if it's one of those things that you've got gear that functions and functions well, sounds good, does what you need it to do, and it's really you just want to upgrade from last year's model to this year's model, that might not be the most effective way to use finances to grow and improve and make you more valuable to your clients. It could be adding some different aesthetics, maybe some lighting and different things. Once you get to a point with lights, yes, there's from wash lights to effect lighting to intelligent lighting, there is a noticeable difference, but most of our clients don't notice those things. So they'll be like, oh yes, they had lights, there were lights going, and yeah, we had fun with that. From the perspective of the clients, does that make you a ton more valuable? Maybe not. Maybe with most of your clients, it would not. Maybe room decor lights would probably be more effective at giving value to what you do than some intelligent lights. I don't know. Everyone's going to have their thing that they're going to figure out. But just saying I need lights because it's going to make me more valuable to my clients might be more of what your gut feeling. And you talk to your clients, you'll find out that really, lighting wasn't the thing. They would have preferred that you were maybe engaging with them, maybe having fun with them on the microphone, maybe doing something like that. Might be more they wanted you to be playing the music and be more responsive to the dance floor than what whatever it is. But it might not be what you think. There's where that feedback thing comes, that a lot of people talk about getting feedback from your events, that getting that from the clients is a really important thing. Sometimes they'll just give you a hot air and basically, oh my gosh, you were great, you're the greatest DJ ever, and really not give you constructive criticism. And sometimes we can get that constructive criticism and it hurts so much that we just ignore it. There's this balance. That's one of the big reasons why DJs talk about, your trainers talk about recording what you're doing and watch it. And then if you feel you maybe aren't the most objective one, to watch it with someone else or have someone else watch it and give you some notes and say, hey, here's what I saw. And I think there's some areas that you may want to kind of pay attention to. Those are the types of things that are going to help you make that decision on where to invest. Is it my emceeing? Am I doing things that are cringeworthy from that perspective? Is it that my microphone? I mean, that's a huge part of what we do. Is my microphone not functioning well enough that the people can't understand what's being said? The camera, all it's hearing is going all the time. Well, if the camera's picking that up, that's what it's going to sound like to the guests, most likely. That's an area in which you could improve and invest in to get your business so you're more valuable to your clients. So that's really the first area I would start, is what I could do to make me more valuable. Then it would be what I would be investing in that's going to be able to be there for the long haul. Some gear that we buy, if say you wanted to do the chocolate fountain thing, for those of you who've been DJing in the last 10 years, you probably haven't even heard of a chocolate fountain. But for like a moment in time in the early 2000s, the chocolate fountain was like the rage. And DJs were starting to add these to their offerings, that you could, hire a chocolate fountain and you can pay, that's with us. I almost wonder at times if the sparkler thing is going to fall into that category where it was like, ooh, this is so great. And then all of a sudden it's going to be banned in a lot of venues and it's just going to go to the wayside because it can't be there. But the idea is that we get caught up in these things and we go and invest in these things. And if they are only a flash in the pan, it's only for maybe a season or two. I don't know if the little LED tube lights that, flash back and forth, if in a year or two, we're going to look at those and say, oh my gosh, that was a fad. Or if they're going to be something that in 10 years, we're still going to be able to use because it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of a cool thing. Those are the types of decisions you're going to have to make to decide what's a fad and what's going to have longevity. Because if you're investing money in your business and you don't have a ton of money to just throw at it, and well, if it fails, well, no biggie, you got to make sure that your dollars are going to work for you and not be you working for dollars and then that failed, you work for more dollars and that fails. You don't want that. So looking at something that's going to give you a return for a longer period of time. Training is one of those things that if you go take training and you practice and hone those skills, and then you continue to practice, you take MC training and you go through and you learn some different things, they're going to give you some ideas and things and make you better just from that little bit of time you're there. But there's also going to be things that you can take and do on your own to continue. It's not just a 72-hour program and then you've got it. No, that's just the beginning. And there's a process in which you're going to have to go practice and you're going to have to do different things. And maybe taking some additional courses or different speaking classes, whatever it is, there's going to be more to it. It's not just a one-time thing. But once you have that skill isn't going to go away. You might get rusty, that's possible, but it's never going to completely go away. So you're going to have that and it can give you value for a lifetime type of a situation. So decide on those things that are going to give you that long-term value. Just a couple of thoughts here for you to kind of decide where you should be investing your money. Every day on Facebook, again, just earlier today, I saw someone who's like, hey, I've got $2,000 and I want to go spend it on some new speakers. My first thing is that, okay, $2,000 is not a bad amount of money, but maybe, just maybe you should hold out a little bit more and whatever you've been doing, renting, borrowing speakers, whatever, and get yourself to a point where when you do go and invest in your first set of speakers, you're able to buy something that's going to be with you a long time. Just going into throwing $2,000 into something, unless you're planning to buy your tops and then eventually buy the subs. If you're doing something like that, okay, I see. There's a strategy and a plan, and that makes a lot of sense. But if you're just going out there and you're just going to go buy 2 speakers and hope that they're going to do all of your shows, may not happen that way, and you may be disappointed, and you may get to the point of you're like, well, I just threw that $2,000 away because I have to go rebuy everything because I've either driven these too hard or they just don't work and they don't match up with any subs that I want to have now and whatever it is. Making decisions based on what is in your best interest when it comes to that money is so critical. And there's so many people out there asking those questions, and really, you can ask questions out there, but really the first questions really are for you on what is your long-term ideas and how you can make you and your business the absolute best possible performer and business out there.